Hey guys, I'm Katie,
And I'm Ryan.
and this is the list where we're watching IMDb's top 100 greatest movies of all time, and we're letting you know which ones are bucket list movies and which ones aren't worth your time. Today, we're talking about Fargo. And also, I'd like to say we've been a little MIA. We had a lot going on.
You darn tootin' we were. We were way, yeah, yeah.
We were busy, weren't we? We were busy.
Yeah, we were. We were
We
busy.
just had a lot going on, don't you know?
Darn tootin' we were.
I'm really actually very proud of that. If we ever watch any movies with Irish people in it, I am not allowed to try an accent, but I was pretty good at that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So glad you guys are here. Like I said, we're talking about Fargo. I can give you a little summary. I'm going to give you two of them because one I think is really funny and one I think is really good. Our first summary is Minnesota car salesman Jerry Lundegaard's inept crime falls apart due to his and his henchmen's bungling and the persistent police work of the quite pregnant Marge Gunderson. I just liked the alliteration in that one, the pops of the peas, and I just thought it was worded very cutely. And then if you want a little longer one, it says Jerry Lundegaard is in an unknown financial jam and wants his father-in-law's money to solve it. His plan to get the money involves hiring Carl Showalter and Geir Grimsrud to kidnap his wife and then splitting the ransom with the criminals. However, this quickly falls apart after 3 killings and the persistent work of chirpy but efficient police chief, the pregnant Marge Gunderson.
I like that one.
I do too.
Much better.
The first one was just so poppy. I liked.
Didn't enjoy it. It was lame.
Wow. I'm going to tell the person on IMDb who wrote that.
Okay. Well,
Movie reviewer 2194 is not going to like that.
there's a reason they don't have a real name. It's just movie reviewer 1224. That's a bot.
It's a bot. So you get a little idea of what Fargo is there. Some of the key players.
Really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a little snippet, a little overview, a little elevator pitch, if you will, of Fargo. Just to give you a little, well, this is written by the Coen brothers, written and directed by the Coen brothers, and we've seen this. I knew this was going to be an interesting experience going in because they have written both one of my favorite movies of all time and a movie I hated so much I walked out of. And one of my favorite movies of all time is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And that was written by the Coen brothers and directed by them. And the one, yeah, I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
I think it's because of the music. I am a man.
The dialogue is really funny.
Constant sorrow. The dialogue
and the song is catchy. Yes.
Yeah, the dialogue in every Coen Brothers movie or at least the 3 I've seen so far, is very good, top tier dialogue. The one we walked out of was Hail Caesar.
Oh yeah.
It was really bad.
We weren't big fans of that one.
No, it's just boring. That's the thing with the Coen brothers is you're going to get a vibe. They have a vibe to their movies. And I feel like they walk such a tight rope of it's going to be fantastic or it's really going to fall flat. And I feel like Hell Caesar fell flat for me. I saw what they were trying to do, whatever, nice try. I didn't like it. But in Fargo, I did like it. I think they did a very good job. And it had that kind of Coen brothers weirdness to it. I don't even know if weirdness is the right word. It's absurdity.
I don't know if it's a Coen Brothers theme, but this movie is definitely unique.
Yeah, they're very unique screenwriters.
It is a murder mystery / comedy.
Dark
and they've
comedy.
taken something that is very serious and made it kind of playful.
Yeah, definitely playful. And funny
in a cool way.
Yeah, in an enjoyable way.
Mm-hmm.
It was an enjoyable movie and it was funny. Dark comedy doesn't always work for me. It really worked in this movie. They were on the knife tip of it either fell over into it could have been way too poking fun at something serious and gory, or it could have been like, ew, that fell really flat and wasn't funny at all. And they balanced perfectly. They were right where they should have been. They did a really good job. I do have some fun facts about this movie. Let's dive right into them. I write them down. With all of the technology at my fingertips, it's so funny that there are two things I'll always write down: the outline to a novel that I'm going to write and the fun facts for a podcast. I can't type them or screenshot them or whatever. I write them down. And the best part about it is I have atrocious handwriting, so I can't read half of what I wrote down. So let's see if we can make it through this. Okay, so William H. Macy, who is super famous, he plays the dad in Shameless, and he's in a lot of other things. He played Jerry Lundegaard in this movie. He wanted this part so badly that he tried out for it twice, and then the Coen brothers started like pre-production, and he was really scared he wasn't going to get the part. So he flew to them where they were doing pre-production in New York. This wasn't filmed in New York, but they were doing some kind of pre-production there. And he said to them, "I'm really scared you're going to mess up this movie by not giving me the part. And if you don't give me the part, I'm going to shoot your dogs."
Wow.
I don't know why that was the threat he went with. If he thought maybe his character would do that or whatever.
Seems like it worked.
It worked. Good for him. Oh gosh. Another fact is that the cinematographer only ended up allowing 1 day of sunshiny filming because he thought that anything filmed in the sunshine for this movie went fully against the tone of the movie. And so they tried to avoid any kind of like super pretty bright days. He didn't want it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
He felt like it messed up the mood.
Yeah, there's definitely a dark mood, and
yeah,
that all goes with it.
But not like a Gotham dark.
No, it's a dark mood, but it's also filmed in basically a stark, barren wasteland in the middle of winter. So all those things combined gives it a vibe, a dark vibe, including the content matter. So
you've had a way with the facts lately of like either stealing them or leading right into the next one, and you did just lead right into the next one when you said it was filmed in like a barren wasteland. The Coens described Minnesota as Siberia with restaurants. so they agreed.
And I think they're from Minnesota is what I read.
Are
as
they?
Well. Yeah,
I didn't see that.
So kind of filmed in their own backyard there.
Okay, the next fact is that the movie starts off with a disclaimer that all of the facts are true, that this is a real life story, and only people's names have been changed. Did you believe that?
I did.
I did too. I thought that was true. I thought this was a true story the whole time.
Like, I thought it was, if you put that in a movie, it has to be true.
I thought so too.
But
I wonder what the ethics of that is.
That is not the case.
Yeah, I believed it. Kind of makes me think of the Blair Witch Project, where they convinced everybody that it was found footage. Anyway. So everybody who was filming also thought that this was based on a true story. For the first 3 weeks of filming, the Coen brothers let them believe that this was a true story. And it wasn't until 3 weeks in that they were finally like, just kidding. It's not a real story.
I think only one event is based on a true story.
Which one?
The wood chipper.
Ooh.
Yep. The wood chipper event was based on a murder that happened not there, but in Connecticut.
Oh. It seems like a very Connecticut thing to happen.
Maybe?
Yeah, it is. Don't think too hard. Don't think. Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
That's why.
Don't think too hard about it. I did see that one of the things that happened in the movie was also true, based on real life. And it was that one of the Coen brothers experienced almost word for word what happened in the beginning with the car, where William H. Macy's character is selling a car to these people, and they're like, "You told us $19,000, and now you are saying 20,000, whatever." And he said that was an experience he actually had with a car salesman, and it was almost like word for word what happened.
I can 100% believe that as a real life event.
Yeah. It
seems like I can't buy a hamburger without them going,
the price change.
Surprise, here's an extra charge.
This is a pickle fee.
Yeah, exactly.
That True Coat comes from the factory now. We can't do anything about that True Coat. It comes from the factory. They put it on beforehand. I can't do anything about that True Coat now. Frances McDormand wore a pregnancy pillow full of birdseed. And she said she didn't even have to think about how to act like a pregnant person because you have to keep that kind of thing balanced. And so it just naturally made her walk like a pregnant person and move like a pregnant person. She did look very pregnant. It looked legitimate to me. I would have believed it if you told me she was pregnant. Another story about that is that she left the whole like torso in her trailer one day, and it froze overnight. And then the next day when she put it on, the silicone breast exploded on set.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So filming began on January 22nd, 1995, when the area was experiencing the second warmest winter in 100 years. So it's super, super warm, and actually most of the snow that you see is fake.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, especially considering
where it's filmed.
Some of the parts, especially around the highway where the murders happened, and in the cabin where the kidnapping happened. It looks like a lot of snow.
Well, they did say also another thing they did is they just left an area and would go somewhere else. And that some of it even was in Canada, that they would just have to like find the coldest, snowiest place around and move everybody. Another fact is that the police received so many tips on the murder that happened in this movie because people believed it was a real murder. And so they called the police and told them what they knew about the murder and would give them tips on how to solve it.
For a murder that didn't even
For a murder that didn't happen, which really makes you think about like people's perception of reality and how easily we can be convinced of something.
I even read I think it was like a Siskel and Ebert review on this movie. And even he talks about how this is based on a real life story.
Yeah.
Which is not. Anyway.
Not true. People still believe it. I mean, if I wouldn't have looked it up afterwards, I would have left thinking the movie was based on a true story. Those are all my fun facts, eh? So now we should talk about this movie. What'd you think about the story?
Yeah, it was good. I liked it, yeah.
It was real good. Real hearty story.
No, it was good. Like I said before, it's super unique. Not only from the movie, all the movies that we watched so far that are on the list, but just in general, any other movie, it's pretty unique compared to those. It takes super serious story matter material based on a murder mystery and makes it this kind of like, mixes it with this light-hearted, folksy dialogue, and it turns out super unique. And I loved it. I thought it was absolutely hilarious and gory and almost like watching a train wreck at the same time. Like not that the film was a train wreck, but that the character played by William H. Macy, how he just everything spirals out of control and just goes from really bad to even worse, and you can't look away from it. And so in that way, it was super interesting. I really liked it. I give it a 10.
Wow. Okay, so sometimes I feel like our brains have melded. Like we've spent so much time together for so long that we almost share a little bit of a brain. I want to read to you what I wrote down under story, okay?
We almost equal a whole brain.
Almost. I want you to listen to what I wrote down under story. Like a slow motion car crash you can't look away from. What should be simple just keeps getting worse and worse.
You're kidding me.
No.
That's funny.
That is funny. You're sitting there talking and I had to bite the inside of my cheeks to stop myself from interrupting you. I was like, I said the same thing. I said the same thing. I think it's like a car crash, but instead of a car crash where you watch it happen really quickly, it's literally like one that's been slow motioned. You're watching each individual hit and turn, and it's all slowed down for you, and things just keep getting worse.
And it's so quirky. It's so quirky. Even just little tiny stuff like the son. You go into his room and he's got an accordion and the accordion king poster on the wall, and you're just like,
what is that?
What? And you just can't help but laugh.
No.
Even though this is not
and in
not
the beginning,
a very funny movie.
No, it's not, but you laugh.
But it's really funny.
In the beginning, you're thinking, okay, this guy's an idiot, but I understand what he's doing, right? This is the worst way to go about it. Why would you do this? But I'm with you, right? Like, I get the logic, right? But it goes from I get the logic to no, just stop.
Yeah.
And you want to like grab him by the back of his head and like, please, dude, just sit down and think for 1 minute. Like at any point you could just say, please stop. I think the turning point for the movie is one of the best moments of cinematography. So I'll just say this one part is when they're driving down the road and they've killed the policeman. And the other car locks eyes with them. Love that moment of cinematography, by the way. It put a lot of tension in and was just a fantastic moment. But I also think it's a pivotal moment for the movie where it's changing from, okay, this can all work out. It's bad, but not too bad, to, okay, this is irreparable now. You're screwed no matter what. And I just think this is a great movie that it's very lean. There's nothing superfluous, like there's no unnecessary so even the things that you're like, this is a weird moment, tie in and are important mechanisms of storytelling to push the characters along the path of the plot and character development. I thought it was a very lean, perfect amount of storytelling, just right, just what was necessary. And I think I would give it a 9 storytelling wise.
One of the things I thought, and this is probably going to tie into the acting, is the characters in this movie are really well done.
They're well
William
written.
H. Macy, Steve Buscemi, and Peter Stormare, the two crooks, the dynamic between them is fantastic. Because he's a funny looking guy and he just talks incessantly, and the other guy is, he's a big guy, and he's just very stoic, doesn't talk, and just the dynamic between those two, they drive each other insane.
They do.
I do have a fun fact for you.
Tell me.
If you had to guess how many times "yeah" was said in this movie, how many would you guess?
138.
Very close.
Am I?
142.
I'm so amazing.
And there's not this movie's actually not really dialogue heavy.
No, it's
there's
not.
a lot of visual stuff that goes on in this, and so there's not a lot of dialogue. And for them to say 142 times is hilarious.
Oh yeah. But you gotta have breakfast.
It's written so well that there's this, this folksy, very polite, innocent,
nice Midwestern
speech going on, but underneath there's a ton of sinister current going on, just with William H. Macy's character just trying to rip people off, trying to get money from his father-in-law, trying to arrange this kidnapping, and it just all goes awry. And so that's another thing that makes it so curious and intriguing to watch, is nothing on the surface is really what's going on. If you just were listening to somebody talk, you wouldn't get it most of the time.
If ever you're in need of money, just tell me we'll plan a kidnapping together. Don't pull William H. Macy. I'll go along with it.
We are not going down this road on a podcast.
I'm just saying, just be like, hey, I'm going to have these people kidnap you. And I'll be like, bet. And then we'll be on the same page. That's what a partnership is all about.
Who are we going to get a ransom money from?
Yeah, everybody we know is poor.
Don't worry about
That's it. True.
You're not going to get kidnapped, ever.
That's a very good point.
So
let's go into the acting from
acting
that. Yeah,
is for me it's way up there. It might be a 10 as well for
Say
me.
it. Yeah, go.
It's
Just
10.
just dedicate. Yeah, I say
10.
dive in. Give it. Nice. Yeah, I really love the acting too. I love a movie where I don't know if it's the acting or the writing that elevates it so much. I love that. I when both are so stellar that you don't know which one is doing the heavy lifting. Um, so I would say the acting was fantastic too.
There's not a weak character in this whole film.
No, there's not. Everybody was fantastic. Even her husband, who was just a very kind, soft-hearted man. Like the moments where they're in bed talking about his art for the stamp, and um, even the weird friend that shows up. The wife was a great actress. The son, who was the only one who really seemed to care that the mom was kidnapped. He was great in his moments that he was on screen. And then there's William H. Macy, who I've seen in a lot of things, but I've never seen this good. Who just perfectly played the bumbling idiot, just an imbecile, right? Like he was such a perfect everyday idiot. He And then the way he managed to go from sniveling idiot to confident idiot, because he had a plan and things were working out and he just got a little too big for his britches. He was very weaselly. This was very good. Um, I would say he and Marge Gunderson and Steve Buscemi were my. I probably am saying it wrong, but they were the top three for me in this movie. But again, I agree that there was no weak link, and I'm gonna go 9.5.
Even the father-in-law,
Yeah, he was good.
fantastic.
Yeah. What did you think about the cinematography?
It's good. Like you said, it's very dark undertone to the movie, and so the lighting reflects that, and so does the landscape. It's stark. It's a barren wasteland, and I always love murder shows where there's a snowy background on the back because it always is like this. You got this pure white background and blood that
It's very
splatters
stark.
that is so contrasting that it sends a pretty crazy visual as far as innocence has been stolen here, and you have the scarlet the scarlet blood on the snow. So things like that really stick out to me when I watch a film like that. And even the wood chipper scene where there's just blood everywhere,
It was gross.
right, in this white snow, is one of those memorable moments where you're like, holy cow, you won't forget seeing that ever.
No.
Yeah.
What would you
So
score it?
it's way up there too. Man, it's gonna be like it's gonna be a high ranked movie. 9.5.
Nice. I think the cinematography for me was like the duality of this like hellscape, Siberia in America, with the cozy, comfy winter feel that it gave. Like there were two different
Yeah.
vibes that were given off depending on what was happening in
It's
the
like the
movie.
dialogue, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
it's in a visual aspect too, because you got,
Exactly.
you know, Paul Bunyan, right? You got
Yeah,
Paul Bunyan, and then you have this stark wasteland. You have the white.
right.
That's uh, that you have this small town vibe, but then
Yeah,
something horrendous that you see in big cities happens in
right.
this really small town. And it's this whole movie is about contrasting those strange opposites and pairing
Yeah,
them together, and it's so good.
yeah, I agree. Um, And then I just feel like they created a lot of great tension. Probably one of the best scenes in the movie is when um is the wood chipper scene. And I won't go too far into it because I don't want to spoil what it's about. I don't feel like we're giving too much away by saying that. But just the way the camera finds it as the character who's finding it is very well done cinematography wise, and I think it creates a lot of tension. Of course the score always helps create tension, I feel like, but in
Hmm.
this the score is not what's making the tension so much is the way the camera finds the scene and lingers there for just a minute. So I'm going to give the cinematography a 9 as well. What did you think the wow factor of this movie was?
Just the uniqueness of the movie in general. That's a wow factor for me. It, on the surface, very simple story, but then the way that it was done was really excellently executed.
Okay. Number wise?
9.
9.
9.
Respectable. The wow factor in this movie for me is what may be the best marriage I've ever seen on film. I loved Marge and Norm. They were so great. Norm, son of a Gunderson. They had this sweet, kind, gentle marriage. They're very comfortable in their love for one another. You got to have breakfast. Got to eat breakfast. The way he gets up and makes her breakfast and makes sure she's taken care of, the way, you know, she is such a good policewoman, and he supports her in that, and he's so artistic and she supports him in that endeavor, and their quiet, gentle love is wonderful to me. I really loved their marriage a lot. So I just feel like the portrayal of such a sweet, gentle relationship in a very weird, absurd, gritty, no, gritty's not the right word.
It's
Gory's not
gritty.
the right word
It's
either.
gory as well.
Yeah, but that's not the right word. Do you know what I mean? It is both of those things, but anyway, I just thought it was kind of like a little diamond in the rough of a movie that's not about romance, you know. I
Well, it's this
liked them.
contrast again. You have the
Yeah.
contrast of William H. Macy's relationship
Yeah.
and theirs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so I really liked that. And I liked it so much I'd give it a 9 for a wow factor. I love them. They're so cute. Do you think this is a top 100 movie?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I would say top 100. I think the real question comes in, would you call this a bucket list movie?
I
This
think the
question
answer
gets
is
harder and
I
harder
think
every
the
week.
answer is yes, but with a caveat.
Okay, what's the caveat? And I feel like
This
that's not
is
fair.
this is not a movie for the weak-hearted. This is a movie that, like we said, is a little gritty, a little gory. Um, there's some language in there. So
Lots.
if those things are offensive to you, this is not a bucket list movie for you. Definitely not a bucket list movie for kids. However, if you want to see something unique that you've probably never seen before, this is a bucket list movie in that aspect. So I'm going to say yes. What do you think? Is it a bucket list movie?
I actually think I'm going to have to say no. I don't feel like it's a bucket list movie. I
Okay.
don't. I think it's a great movie. I understand why people say it's fantastic and say you should watch it and say it belongs on top lists because it does. But I don't feel like it's a bucket list movie. I just don't. I don't think I could look at someone in the eyes and say, you better go home right now and rent this movie and watch it. I just don't. I don't think I can say that.
Okay.
I wonder how much of that question comes down to what a movie makes
Obviously
me
I had to put
feel.
mine with a caveat as well.
Yeah.
So I have some reservations as far as is it bucket
Yeah.
list worthy
Right.
as well. So I can't really argue with you too much about
Yeah.
saying no to
It's a
this
great
movie.
movie. I think people should watch it if they like. You know what's so funny is it's nothing like Pulp Fiction, but it is so unique in that same way.
I had the same thought earlier
I'm telling you,
that
brain meld.
this is going to be a weird one to rank
Yeah.
and to put around it because it's so unique that it
Yeah.
doesn't really fit
The mold
into
of a movie.
the mold of a typical movie.
Yeah.
But that's why I like it.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good movie.
It surprises you.
It does.
All right, let's rank it.
Okay, so right now my list is Green Mile, Good Will Hunting, Giant, Third Man, Double Indemnity, Close Encounters, Pulp Fiction, Wuthering Heights, Rebel Without a Cause, and Rear Window. I actually think I'm going to put Rear Window. I'm sad to see go. This is the first time I think I know I lost Nashville last week, but I think this is actually the first time I've been like, this is painful. This is a painful decision to take
Yeah,
Rear Window
because
off of
that
here
movie's ranked way too low
for you.
for
Um,
anyone.
I'm going to
Anyone.
put Fargo right underneath Pulp Fiction. I think these two belong next to each other on the list. So I'm going to go with Fargo at number 8. That's where it belongs, yeah?
You
Don't you
think it's
think?
below Pulp Fiction?
I do. Yeah, I think I was a little more impressed by Pulp Fiction, the different storylines that come together, the nonlinear storytelling. Visually, I think it's more appealing. I
Hmm.
think Fargo
I
is under Pulp Fiction for
I
me.
couldn't agree with you less on that one.
Well, well, well. The drama intensifies.
All right, let me share mine. So I have Green Mile at number 1, Double Indemnity, Network, Rear Window, Good Will Hunting, Rebel Without a Cause, Close Encounters, Wuthering Heights, Pulp Fiction, and Giant. Giant is going to come off the list. To me, Fargo. I actually like Fargo. I think I'm going to move it up to 7. I'm tempted to put it.
Respectable.
I'm tempted to put it at number 6. To be honest with you,
Above Rebel Without a Cause?
yeah, I'm super
Wow.
tempted. But I think I'm going to leave it at 7. I think it is. I liked it better than Pulp Fiction as far as the humor and the story and the plot. So I think it's up there.
I get that. I don't think you're wrong for that. I think it's so subjective, and sometimes it's just the feel of a movie. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of The List. We would love to know your thoughts on Fargo. You can contact us through Carrier Pigeon on Instagram DM, a comment, or you can leave a comment on Spotify. You could also leave a voicemail, but apparently nobody's going to do that, so we'll move on.
But apparently they're going to send a carrier pigeon.
It seems more likely at this point.
Mm. Mm.
So please let us know your thoughts on Fargo. We're going to be watching Annie Hall next week, which I believe is my first Woody Allen movie that is not about a bug. But I'm not positive. All I know
Might
about
be
Woody
though,
Allen,
but
it might be, that's true.
I don't know.
What I know about Woody Allen is what I've seen on Reddit when the Woody Allen subreddit was really big years ago, and it was just vibes. They had the vibes of like what the movie always feels like with colors and stuff. So we'll see
What are you
what
saying?
it's like. Whoever knows what I'm
You're
saying.
just rambling.
Lord, I was born a rambling man. Talk about Woody Allen the best I can. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week. I'm Katie.
And I'm Ryan.
We'll see you next week.